Imagine a movie so fast it doesn't give you time to blink. Just the roar of the engines, the scream of the tires, and the promise that if you fall behind for even a second, you're done. That's the soul of car chase films, a subgenre that's been flooring the gas pedal on cinema since the late 60s. These aren't just action scenes dropped into a story, they are the story. From the mechanical ballet of Bullet, to the sunburnt chaos of The Road Warrior, to the apocalyptic surge of Fury Road, the great ones fuse stunt work, geography, and character into pure adrenaline. A good car chase film doesn't just show you speed, it makes you feel it. You know where every player is, what they're risking, and why it matters. The cars become extensions of the characters, each dent and rev a part of the plot. Practical stunts trump CGI every time, because danger is more thrilling when it's real, when the driver's knuckles are white and the asphalt is inches away from disaster. And then there's the rare beasts, the films that are nothing but the chase. Dirty Mary Crazy Larry is one of them. Released in 1974, it straps you in from the moment the heist is over and doesn't let go until, well, let's just say until the brakes never come on. It's part outlaw, romance, part vehicular deathmatch, and part stuntman's fever dream. Dirty Mary Crazy Larry follows Larry Rader, played by Peter Fonda, a would-be NASCAR driver convinced he has the talent to be a champion, if only he had the money and the parts to build the perfect car. With his loyal mechanic Deke, played by Adam Rourke, Larry hatches a daring scheme, rob a supermarket, but the plan quickly spins out of control when Mary, played by Susan George, Larry's fiery one-night stand, forces her way into the getaway vehicle. What follows is a relentless high-octane chase across state lines with a determined sheriff, played by Vic Morrow, who refuses to let them escape. Now, if you haven't seen Dirty Mary Crazy Larry, I advise you to please stop this video, check out the film, come back here, because we're going to be talking about spoilers up ahead. The film opens up with Deke pulling up to a motel to pick up Larry. We see that Larry had himself a pretty good time last night as he tries to do what so many of us have done in our past, and that's try to sneak out without waking up our companion. Larry hops into the driver's seat of his 69 Chevy Impala, and it's so loud that it wakes up Mary. She looks around in the room and then realizes that Larry just hit it and split it.
Nice.
She looks pretty pissed as she watches Larry speed off. Larry drops off Deke at the corner of a suburban neighborhood and continues to his next stop. Deke then breaks into a home that occupants are still there. They haven't left to go to work, or they're not out shopping or anything. There's a child and a mother, both still at this home. Deke then creeps around the house looking for the wife, and he spots her taking a shower. He then takes a few moments to do his best George McFly impression.
He's a peeping Tom.
And finally decides to pull her out so you get a closer look at those melons. Larry pulls up to a supermarket, and we see that Mary's already there. She sees Larry walking into the supermarket and jumps out and yells,
"Hey, asshole!"
But Larry doesn't hear her. Larry then calls Deke at the house, so they had this all planned out. This is not just a random home invasion. Larry tells Deke that everything's in motion and they can continue as they planned. And that's when Deke tells the lady that she has to call her husband, who's the manager of the supermarket, and tell him that Larry's going to go pick up the money from the safe. And if he doesn't give it to him, that Deke is going to kill her and their child. Larry proceeds to walk in and say he's making a cash withdrawal. Larry notices that the general manager, played by Roddy McDowall, hasn't even opened the safe yet. He's starting to act like a tough guy, like he doesn't believe Larry and Deke are serious. Either that, or he himself is looking for a way out of a miserable marriage. Larry hits up Deke at home and asks him to demonstrate that they are serious. Deke looks over at the kid, and the wife screams, demanding Roddy take them seriously. He finally does, and hands Larry the money. Larry heads towards the car when we notice Mary sitting inside. Larry looks shocked. He then turns to see that the keys are missing from the ignition. Why he left them in the ignition, I have no idea. I guess it was just simpler times back then and not much crime besides the crime that Larry and Deke are committing. Now, I know Mary doesn't look like anything special, just another cute blonde, but there is something I find particularly attractive about her. I don't know what it is, but I find her really sexy. Something in her eyes just reminds me of somebody else.
She's on fire, and she burns through the night at the speed of light.
Mary tells Larry that he owes her $50, and he says, "What for?" She says, "Well, if you're gonna treat me like a whore, I might as well get paid as one." He tells her that if she doesn't give him the key, he's gonna punch her in the face.
Do it!
She jumps up and grabs his bag and then tells him that she's starving, and when she looks in, she sees all the money, and she realizes what he just did. Larry jumps in the car and he tells her, "Seriously, give me the keys or you're gonna get it." She starts to laugh and all of a sudden throws the keys out the window into a dumpster. Larry jumps out to go look for the key, but all of a sudden she starts the car. He turns around and looks, gets in the car, and she tells him that those keys were her keys. We see a delivery truck drive up, and Larry realizes he's getting blocked in. And he can't have this because Roddy McDowell might actually call the police, and that might get Deke arrested and them caught. So he decides to make a run for it. Meanwhile, back at the manager's house, we see that his daughter is having a hard time breathing with her mouth being covered with tape. Deke goes to help her out. I guess we're supposed to get a sense that he's the more level-headed, rational, caring one out of the two outlaws, but at the same time, we saw what he was willing to do. He was willing to beat this kid up earlier if Roddy McDowell didn't open the safe. So this scene really doesn't work for me. Back at the supermarket, Roddy McDowell, or Mr. Stanton as the movie has named him, is waiting nervously for his phone to ring when the assistant manager enters and says she needs money to open the registers. She notices that the safe is already open and is empty, and that's when Stanton confesses to her and tells her everything that just happened. Larry picks up Deke, who is really upset that Larry has Mary tagging along for the ride. The assistant manager convinces Stanton that the robbers may have been lying to give them more time. Stanton decides to call the house, and somehow our average, mild-mannered supermarket general manager becomes the world's greatest detective. He and his sidekick figure out that they left a recording at the house to answer any incoming calls. Larry, Deke, and Mary are heading down south when they hear on a two-way radio that Deke has that the robbery has been reported. And they got to make on the getaway car and all three of our lead characters, which is a problem I did have with the film as they were committing their crime. I mean, what the hell? Why was Deke dressed in all black with his stupid beanie cap on when he wasn't going to disguise his face? Larry walks into the supermarket flashing his face and his pearly whites to everybody so that everybody can identify him. Never mind the fact that we soon find out why him and Deke are robbing the supermarket, and it makes even less sense. But I digress. Deke is pissed because they were not expecting to get called out so soon, and they needed 20 minutes to make a clean getaway. This is where we find out that Mary is kind of a little NASCAR thought.
Yeah, my boudoir's always open.
Nice.
Larry tells her that he once had a famous NASCAR driver almost beat, but his car gave out. That's when Mary tells him about all the NASCAR drivers she's been with.
You fucking whore!
And I guess that's why she's taken a liking to Larry. She's attracted to not just bad boys, but bad boys that put their lives on the line in races. And with Larry, he's putting it all on the line. She was never going to get out of this car. She was going to make herself his one and only, one way or another. And that's where the relationship goes from here. Constant ups and downs, but ends with her sticking right by his side like glue. Maybe it's the kind of badass loyalty that makes her so attractive to me. Or that she's wild. Or how she looks at Larry. Look at those eyes. Just so goddamn familiar.
She's on fire, and she burns through the night at the speed of light.
Larry wants to prove to Mary that he almost had Sam Baker beat and pulls off a crazy stunt, almost getting all three of them killed, but it seems to have zero effect on any of them. All our lead characters find danger fun. We then meet our quote-unquote hero of the film, Captain Everett Franklin, played by Vic Morrow. The deputy picks him up from his home and updates him on what transpired. He tells him about our thieves being seen driving away in a '68 Chevy and that it pancaked off a ramp. And the witnesses think that the car is souped. Then Franklin says the driver is souped, not the car. So this is another little fun thing I like about this film, and it's the vernacular used. Soup means that the car is souped up. You know, it's got bonus features and everything like that. But Franklin knows better. And he tells the deputy that the car isn't souped, the driver is. Basically that Larry is more dangerous behind a wheel. Behind any wheel. They also use words like kiss off, which I've never heard before. I wasn't born or lived during the 70s, and I had to look it up, and it means go away. There's more interesting vernacular being used throughout the film, but I just found this little two parts to be interesting for me. And, you know, I had to look up, what does kiss off mean? I have no idea. Anyway, Franklin makes them remove all the roadblocks, which confuses Deke and Larry. Mary playfully suggests that she may be getting nervous, although I don't believe her. I think she was just bored. Mary seems like the kind of girl that's wild in bed and that she can't stay still for a single minute. Kind of like...
She's on fire.
All right, cut it off. It's getting corny now. Anyway, Larry calls her out on being scared, and that's when Larry and Deke tell her that it's about time that she kiss off. and they don't want her around anymore, which pisses her off as she ends up biting Larry, forcing him to swerve and almost getting them all killed. The car crashes into a wooden fence and something's broken underneath. And this is when Larry goes off on her and tells her that he does not want to see her ever again. And she says if he's serious, that she will kiss off and she will never come back and he'll never see her again. And he says, again, I'm serious, kiss off. And she leaves. And then that's when Deke pops out from underneath the car and tells him that he needs her behind the wheel and he needs Larry underneath the car with him to help fix the problem, or they're not going anywhere. And now Larry has to run off with his tail tucked between his legs and apologize to Mary and tell her that he wants her to come help, that he wants her around. This is the heart of the film. Before, when they had their little argument, a lot of it was about the two of them and how they viewed each other, not the actual accident. Larry tells Mary that he didn't know how to say goodbye, as she puts it, because maybe he didn't want to say goodbye. He's leading her on, but at the same time, actually being somewhat vulnerable. He tells her that his dream is to get to Daytona, and that he had been busting his ass for the last 5 years to build up the right machine to take him to the grand stage. Then he realized he just had to steal it. And now he needs her to help him to get to the end. And what really sells this is Mary. Susan George's acting is phenomenal in this film. She's given really nothing, but whatever she is given, she manages to do the most she possibly can with it. And she actually steals this film for me. This film is great for two reasons: the amazing fun stunts and Susan George's performance. She's absolutely phenomenal in this film. She's so vulnerable, she's so wicked, she's so quirky, she's perfect. She was perfectly cast for this role. Larry and Deke get the car fixed and they're back on the road. They pull over and tell Mary to go into a convenience store and get something for Deke's hand. As she walks out to go inside, they drive off. They then realize that she has the map with her and they need the map in order to go to their next stop to pick up the other getaway car. Again, I don't understand why they wouldn't make it that she took the money instead of the map, but this film really isn't known for having a great story. I mean, remember, these guys robbed the supermarket to pay for the perfect machine to get them to Daytona. And what did they expect? That nobody in the audience would recognize them as the people that robbed the convenience store? They showed their faces to everybody. They let Mary know so much information about them as well. And they were just gonna leave her behind to give all this information to the cops? It makes zero sense. But then again, this film is not about that. It's an exploitation film at the end of the day. That's exactly what it is. They go back to Mary and she shows them how she's going to be useful as she memorized every stop they need to make in order to get to the next getaway vehicle. They tell her to get in when a cop sees them, and this is where we get our first high-speed chase, and it's awesome. From here on out, the film is just a high-octane race to the finish, as Larry and Deke are trying to outwit, outsmart, outmaneuver, and outrace the police and Captain Franklin, who also has no really arc or story or why he's pursuing these guys so much. I mean, there's even a line where another officer tells him, like, aren't you taking this case a little too personally? Like, why are you going so crazy to catch these guys? But they didn't hurt the people that they supposedly held hostage, and they just took a little bit of money, really, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. I mean, this isn't a big deal. And he's like, you didn't want me to catch him in the first place, but there's no real motivation behind why he wants to get these guys. It's not like Larry or Deke accidentally did this to, like, hurt one of his family members or accidentally hit a kid or anything like that. It's just he's out for them. It's just useless, pointless. It's just he's the good guy. He wants to get them. But it works for this film because this film's amazing. We get a scene in this movie where a helicopter is trying to stop the car as the car is trying to speed away to get away from Franklin. It's absolutely phenomenal. We get some of the best stunts I've ever seen in a movie ever, and it all builds up to this climactic end where Franklin has kind of managed to outsmart them because he realized that they can actually hear him on the two-way radio, as Mary did a little scam and pretended she was a radio dispatcher. And because he knows this already and he knows they got away, Franklin actually starts to make Larry race himself. And that's exactly what happens. In the last few minutes of the film, Larry's not racing, nobody's chasing him. He's racing himself, and he's trying to outrace himself. And he keeps going and he's going, and then we get to the final scene. As they speed off to get away, all of a sudden they're smashed into by a train. And that's how the movie ends. Now, at first, when I first saw this, I was so upset because I wanted them to get away. I was rooting for them at the end. And then for the movie just to end like that, at a freeze frame as the car gets destroyed and we know they're in there and they're done for, it's over, I was so angry. But then when I started thinking about it more and more, I realized, like, I really did enjoy this movie and the ending. It's a nihilistic ending in the same vein of films like Chinatown and Easy Rider, or The Wild Bunch, or The Mist. That's a good one, but in that case you go, that's really messed up and you feel really different. In this one, you're just going like, what? And then when I look back on it and I go, you know what, that was the perfect ending for this film, for these characters, because they can't really get away. You want them to, but they can't. They're not that smart, they're not that bright, and sometimes things are just pointless. And that's what the movie did. It wasn't really telling you that these guys were bad, you were never supposed to like them to begin with, and that you're bad for liking them. No, it was just telling you, hey, sometimes there are no happy endings. And obviously for these characters, there was never really going to be a happy ending. Anyway, I do really enjoy Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. I think it's a great car chase film. It's magnificent in that one regard. I think Susan George is phenomenal in this movie. Honestly, she's the heart of the entire film. Her performance is fantastic. I really don't care about Vic Morrow's character because he has no character. Deke is fine. Peter Fonda as Larry, I honestly think that anybody else would have been better for Larry than Peter Fonda. I think he's highly overrated in my opinion, but Peter Fonda was hot right off of Easy Rider, so they decided to cast him in this, and that's why we got this nihilistic ending. As I said, Susan George is the heart. Susan George is the film. It works because of her, and it works because of the crazy stunts. They're phenomenal, astounding. I can't even find another word to describe. It's just spectacular. The chases, the collisions, is just absolutely spectacular. So if I was going to rate Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 stars. If you've never seen this film, you should highly see it. I don't know why you watched this video without seeing the movie. So with that being said, that's been my review for Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. If you like this video, remember, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.